how important it is to come off the bye and kind of get a win. And I wanted to do some research to kind of see what the Lions did last year coming off the bye, because obviously
history tells a story.
Yes, and you started the season 1-4 last year. Yeah. And then you go into the bye. And I don't know if you guys remember last season, at least for me, when you went into that bye, you're like, all right, you're 1-4. Let's calm down and let's come back and get some wins and turn things around. But that didn't happen.
No.
You came back and you went on the road to Dallas, which to me it's like going on the road to the LA Chargers. Like, you went on a road to a team that could be a playoff team, and they dropped that game in Dallas.
It was an ugly one too.
Yes, and then they came back home the next week, played Miami, had the lead, and then in the second half blew the lead and lost versus Miami. So they came out of the bye last year, 2 straight losses, which to me is an issue. You come off a bye, you should at least you shouldn't go 0-2 off of that, especially starting 1-4. This year, it's like, to me, I don't want to say this, it's completely flipped from last year. Like last year, you ended 8-2, but I'm just like, the record-wise, you ended 8-2, you started 1-6. This year, you started 6-2. Now it's like, all right, don't end last year like you started. Like, don't flip it. Go out there when you come off, and go out there and beat the Chargers.
Hell yeah.
Like, I don't want to say it's a must-win, but you only have a couple more games left on this schedule, brother, the Lions do, that are teams that are playoff teams, especially on the road. You have the Saints, the Cowboys, and the Chargers. That's all you have left. At some point, you have to prove that you're not what you saw versus the Ravens. To me, this is that game. That's why I say it's a must. I hate doing it. It's so cliche. We do it all the time. But a must win, because like, this is another playoff team. And I know they're not in the playoffs right now. They're loaded with talent. And you're on the road.
Oh, the Chargers? Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with Mike Williams, he's out for the season. The Chargers have legitimate talent, like legitimate top 5 talent in the NFL. They can never seem to put it all together. Justin Herbert hasn't taken that step into eliteness for me. But you're right, it is one. They can definitely beat any team in the NFL. So you got to come out after your bye week and you got to show the rest of the league. All right, no, it was the real deal before that. I think the mentality is completely different than last year. Last year, there's a lot of pressure coming out of the bye. Like, you got to go beat a good Cowboys team in Dallas to really save your season. I mean, when you think about it, every loss made a huge difference last year. So you have to go out and you have to save your season. But this year, really the focus of this bye week is getting healthy and finding some way to come out of it still in rhythm. You know, you keep your offense moving, keep your defense moving, but really it's about these guys getting healthy. The break couldn't have come at a better time, but now it's how do they come out of this? They're going to get guys back, but are they able to insert them back into the offense and have the same flow, have the same rhythm, just get back into it? Can the same guys on defense, can they come back? Can Josh Pascal get a little bit healthier and come in on the Chargers game and be a key contributor, a real difference maker on the defense?
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm excited to see how they come out. I think these coaches have them in a completely different mindset, and I think they're not just chasing the NFC North, they're chasing the NFC number 1 seed. Yep. And so I don't think they're going to be taking this game lightly. I'm not going to go as far, in my opinion, to say it's a must-win game, because I think they can still win the NFC North, but to win that number 1 seed, to get that top spot, all these games make a difference.
Win. Yeah, and when I say must win, I know the NFC North to me is already locked up. It's just more so, what has the talk been since the trade deadline? Can the Lions go contend? Mm-hmm. Can they go compete? That's been the talk. Like, you heard the heavyweights be like, oh no, they can maybe just win a playoff game. That's it. To me, it's the reason I say must win is because if you lose this game, those talks just those just get bigger. Those talks get bigger around the league. It makes you look more like a team, I don't want to say a fraud, but more like a team where people are like, yeah, they're just going to win a bad division. They're just going to get a home playoff game, maybe beat a Falcons team or a Saints team like they did earlier in the year, and just drop that next game versus a legit team. That's what it's going to be. I think you have to go in there and win this game. I don't care how much it's by. Neil said it all the time on Saturday or Sunday when they did the pregame show. It's a win-loss league. You either just win. Who cares how much you win? Just go win. I think you just go win this game, and that's where I'm kind of at with it. I want to ask you this too, bro, because you're in the building a lot, and I think one concern with bye weeks, there's obviously the positive of, hey, you can get a lot of rest, and guys get rest, a little bit of a time off, like a week off in the middle of the season, you go see your family, do whatever. But I think there is that risk and kind of that side where there is a bad side to it, to where you leave the practice facility, you're away from the team a little bit. How do you respond when you come back? Do you still, like, if you're 6-2, you're playing the best football you've played in a long time, or almost ever the Detroit Lions have. You don't want to lose that when you come back.
Right.
So leaving the building, getting away from the guys, you're in the building a lot. And I have faith Dan Campbell kind of keeps these guys together when they do come back. But is there any like worry, like, hey, like let's not make sure things fall apart when we take a week off here?
You know, that's a really good point. I don't want to say there's no worry, because I think any team, once you separate, once the rhythm gets messed up, there's a chance that it doesn't come back, the team doesn't come back kind of firing on all cylinders, or come back at the level of play they had before. But I don't know, I think this team's built a little bit different. They're so tight knit, and I say it like from a family perspective. I think about this offensive line, like Taylor Decker, Graham Glasgow. This offensive line, they're all, I mean, those two are best friends. With the offensive line, they all hang out together. They all get along. Their wives are friends. They all have babies. Remember, they're the Legion of Womb. This offensive line has babies every couple of months. Like, there's something that connects them. Even if they're not together, I think they just understand each other, and I think some time off, especially in the middle of a season, never hurt anybody. It's kind of like at the end of training camp. You've been hitting the same people all camp, all off season. You want to get out in that first preseason game. You want to get to the first regular season game and just start to hit somebody else. I think a little break, let's say the distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
Little break's fine. Come back ready to go.
And again, I don't think that I have faith in Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
I have faith in the players. There's good leadership on this team. Even though the team's young, there's guys that hold each other accountable. My thing is just, yes, you want the bye week because of injuries, but the way you've been playing and starting 6-2, most teams are going to be like, oh man, I wish we didn't have a bye. Like, I wish we could. We're playing such good football. I wish we can keep this thing going. Because when you step away and you have a week off, then maybe that breaks that up a little bit, and that happens a lot. You see it a lot with teams.
Yeah, and there is a chance. I know I've been talking a lot about just getting healthy, just staying in rhythm. But there is the time that you get when they come back. You can put some new stuff in, or you can work on some deficiencies you had. I know there's a lot they've learned about themselves in the last couple weeks, both in the loss to Baltimore and the win against the Raiders, which was not a clean win. Like, there's things that they can clean up. There's a new wide receiver that they need to work into the offense. So I think it's an important time to figure out where those deficiencies were in the first half of the season, work on them, show them a little bit in the Chargers game, and just get back rolling.
I will say this. Schiff got said, so if we beat Dallas, we're the 1 seed. I will say this. If you go win this game versus the Chargers, and that's why I think this is another important game, there's, like, I'll say it 100 times, there's only 3 really, really hard games left on this schedule. Dallas, New Orleans, and these are all road games, and Chargers. If you beat the Chargers and then you beat the Saints, and then you go into Dallas in week 17, I think?
Yep.
Week 17, and you win these 3 games, you're the number 1 seed in the NFC, because the rest of the games are really basically just the NFC North, which I believe you win out.
And I think the Eagles are going to lose 2 games with the schedule they have.
Tough schedule.
Yeah. It ends pretty cupcake with the Giants and the Cardinals, but
do they have a bye coming up as well?
No, they've already had their bye.
Okay.
They've got Eagles, Chiefs. Oh no, I'm sorry, they are the Eagles. Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, 49ers, Cowboys, Seahawks,
Chiefs,
Giants, Cardinals,
Giants. They will lose 2 games.
Yeah.
The way, and I know. I tuned into BDE today, watched a lot. I know Neil mentioned something about how everyone keeps saying the Eagles are different than last year, but they have the same record, like 7-1 or whatever it is. If you watch those games, they are a little bit of a different team. Like, their offense,
they are.
AJ Brown's still AJ Brown. Devontae Smith. Yeah, AJ Brown's having probably the best receiver in the NFL right now.
He's
Him and Tyreek.
Yeah.
But there's faults on the like, they're in these close games that last year they were blowing teams out. So yeah, brother, that's a great point.
Jet feel.
I'm looking at this as I'll say this. I'm looking at this as a 4-game season coming out of the bye. I think you win the 2 Chicago games.
Got to.
You beat Green Bay.
Have to.
That's 3, right?
Yeah. You feast on them on Thanksgiving.
I think the 4 games. I don't know who. I'm missing a couple teams.
I got you. It's Chargers, Bears, Saints, Packers.
So the 4 games
Chargers,
to me
Bears,
that are the
Packers.
toughest. I think it's a 4-game season.
Yeah.
At the Chargers, at the Saints, at the Cowboys, and that Minnesota game.
The last one of the year.
That Lucas brought up a good point yesterday. If Justin Jefferson's back, Minnesota's a tough place to play.
Yeah.
I think those 4 games, if you can go 3-1, you get your 1 seed.
Yeah.
Because the other games you'll win.
And that would mean you're 14-3.
Yeah. I don't think anyone before the season said 14 wins.
No.
I think the high, like, I went 13-4. I think that might be the highest I heard at Woodward. was 13.
Maybe. Things have changed, man.
That's crazy.